Dude, why don't we get some music? Let's do that. Yeah, why not? Let's go. Ah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to the Matt Kim podcast and welcome to episode 100. Can you believe we've done 100 of these? Not 100 of these, but we've done 100 of a combination of interviews and conversations and streams and anything considered long form. We've been numbering them over time and it's episode 100. Will, can we get a burr, 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 burr or something? I don't know. I feel like we should do something because, dude, I can't believe we made 100 episodes. Just want to do a quick recap because it's been amazing. I can't believe so many of you watch the pod, listen to the pod, share the pod. The whole experience over the last year, 100 episodes. It's amazing. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I really appreciate you. Over the last year, we've had an opportunity to do interviews with people like Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate and Dr. Peter McCullough. And we've done interviews with the great Simon Atiba and Diamond Dallas Page. We even had recent episodes with Pastor Doug Wilson, who I greatly respect. We also had opportunity to do interviews and conversations with my buddy Sky Corbin. We did something with Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman. We did something with Ashton Forbes about MH370 and the disappearing Malaysian Airlines flight. Like, how much content have we gone through in the last year? Shani Rich, the ultimate most canceled street poller in the world, Brendan Dilley, who just can't seem to survive anywhere on the internet except X and Rumble because for some reason, the internet hates memes. And we've done stuff with Arthur Kwan Lee, probably the most canceled Asian American in America at this point. I think he just got suspended off of X too. How do you get suspended off of X, by the way? How crazy is that? Most importantly, we've done a ton of content with our friend Peter Saddington. Those episodes have been wildly popular and I appreciate every single one that we've done. It's been an amazing journey. Free Thinking Thursdays. Amazing. Although Free Thinking Thursdays are rarely actually on Thursdays, we've been doing our best. We have the good and the bad. So far over the last year, we've had amazing things, all these great conversations, all this great growth, all this great learning, all this great expansion of our minds. It's been amazing. The bad is we've lacked a little bit of structure. We've been trying to figure things out. We started this without knowing where we're going, what we're doing, kind of what the purpose was. It's been a combination of just piecing things together, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. So I think it's time to shake things up around here. It's going to be same but different than last year. Also, by the way, I totally forgot to mention, is that we did exactly 1 year on Father's Day for our short clips on Instagram, on TikTok, etc. It's been 1 year exactly as well. How do we do 1 year of short clips and hit episode 100 at pretty much the same exact time? I feel like the meeting of those two and the intersection proves that we're supposed to figure out what we're doing next. And that's really what today is. We're going to talk about it and then we'll move on to the official topic of the day. I think we're going to break it down into 4 new shows. Not 4 new shows. It's still going to count. Next episode will be at 101, at 102, 103, 104. But we're going to start categorizing into 4 separate types of shows. The first type of show, number 1, will be the short form clips. So we do the short form clips on Instagram, on TikTok. It's wildly popular and it's probably been the bread and butter and what has carried us for the last year. But usually those videos are 1 to 3 minutes. So it is a quick explanation of what's going on. We're going to start doing a video and a show that takes that one topic and expands it further for people who want more information about what it is, maybe want some of the sources and want some more analysis and kind of our perspective on that. So we'll start taking those videos and expanding them on the longer form platform. And we'll do that for every single video that we make. So that'll be number 1. Number 2, we're going to start adding in our regular rant type videos, but expanding those out, talking about just random thoughts or broader societal issues, maybe things that align more with a personal journey. So we'll start adding that component and there'll be those separate videos as well. And then we're gonna add a third show I don't know if it's a show, but a prong. Third prong, which will be the interviews and the podcast, kind of what we've been doing. So interviewing interesting guests, interesting people, that will still be there. That's not going away, but we will be having that as the third leg. The fourth leg will be brand new. We're going to call it Ask Matt. And what we can do is you can ask me anything you want, any issue that you're thinking about, any advice that you're looking for, whatever you would like for me to chime in on. There's an opportunity. You can either leave a comment at the bottom of each video or email it to askmattkim@protonmail.com, askmattkim@protonmail.com. And what we'll do is we'll take those questions and we'll take those issues or whatever you're thinking about, and we'll make videos specifically in response to those. I think that'll be an interesting thing to add to the podcast. So definitely go check that out. 4 new things that we're doing. We are going to continue to do our weekly stream, but the dedicated time and date, that's to be determined. I'm not exactly sure yet. Haven't thought that far ahead. But that's kind of the new format of what we're looking forward to, and appreciate it. Definitely check those out. We'll start labeling them on the videos. Maybe something on the bottom that lets you know what it is. I don't know exactly how that looks like yet, but I think we're going to figure it out. I appreciate you. Episode 100. Let's move into a new topic. Do you wonder where all the Ukraine money is going? Well, it looks like we've started a thread to pull. Idaho is trying to shut off water to 500,000 acres of farmland, 781 miles. But there's been plenty of rain this spring, so that's not it. They say it's due to water reserves underground, that it's projected to deplete at a too fast of a rate to preserve water supply. They need to shut off the water to 500,000 acres of Idaho farmland. But the Continuing Appropriations and Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2023 approved $4.5 billion for direct financial support to the government of Ukraine, or so they said. Jervois Global Limited enters an agreement for $15 million for information on drilling at its Idaho cobalt mine, utilizing funds from the additional Ukraine Supplemental Appropriations Act. Why is money for direct financial support for the government of Ukraine being rerouted by the Department of Defense to a cobalt mine in Idaho? Cobalt used in batteries for your phones, computers, electric cars, but also in plastics and irradiating food to increase shelf life. There are countless valuable usages for cobalt. Any side effects of cobalt we should be aware of, considering we use it in everything? Cobalt exposure triggers impairments in cognitive and anxiety-like behaviors, brain oxidative stress, and inflammation. And do you know what's a necessary component of cobalt mining in mass? Guessed it, water. Lots of water. Demand for critical minerals is booming. Global efforts to fight climate change are driving up the need for lithium, cobalt, graphite, and other materials essential for building electric cars, solar panels, and other clean technologies. This compounds existing demand from the tech sector, where critical minerals are used in smartphones, laptops, and other consumer electronics, also semiconductor chips. There's no question the world will have to mine more of these minerals and quickly as the clean energy transition ramps up. But doing so also comes with risks, including potential to sap water supplies. On May 31st, 2024, Idaho Department of Water announced shutting off water to 500,000 acres of farmland. June 21st, 2024, Jervois cobalt mine can start drilling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Idaho is shutting off water due to a shortage at the same time the cobalt mine is set to start operating 24/7. And it's Ukraine's funding bill, one of many, that gave $15 million to Jervois to restart operations after losing money. Couple of things to look further into. How many members of Congress have a financial interest in this cobalt mine? My initial research, a lot. Also, is it linked to the CHIPS Act, where they gave Micron a fistful of money to start manufacturing in Idaho? And are they trying to destroy crops so they can take the land and mine more cobalt, or is it purely to control the water supply? I was just in Idaho, absolutely beautiful state filled with great people. And the government shows up with the government gun and forces their will. Again, maybe it's just a coincidence and I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Perhaps, but one fact remains absolutely true. Money that we were told was going to Ukraine is not. There is no coincidence. And it's this incessant need to chase technology, to profit at the expense of people. They don't care if you can't grow food. They'll just feed you bugs. They don't care if you get sick. They'll just feed you drugs. They don't care if you disappear. They'll literally just replace you. But hey, at least we'll have more electric cars, and AI girlfriends. So I've been thinking about this one because maybe they're not related. It's possible, right? That they're not actually related. But do we believe in coincidence? You would have to believe that at the same exact time that they're shutting off the water, something goes online that requires an immense amount of water at the same exact time. Maybe it's just coincidental. What we do know is that the money allocated for Ukraine that we're told is going to help the sovereignty of Ukraine, it's going to projects in the United States, and the Department of Defense is using it. How come we don't know about this? How come they aren't talking about this? Why do we not have a list of US-based projects that are being used and that Ukraine funding is being used for? And how come we don't know which politicians are invested in those ventures? I did a little dive. It's really hard to find. Maybe someone like Unusual Whales can go into it and figure out exactly who's getting paid what. Couldn't figure that out. Maybe one of you will go down that rabbit hole and you'll let us know. What I did find is that there are a lot of congressmen that are invested not only in the cobalt mine, but in the companies that are associated with the contracting for those mines. They're building all of this infrastructure. They're building in Idaho. They're pumping all this money into Idaho. They're changing the demographics of Idaho. They're taking the money that your tax money that's supposed to go to another country that we don't even agree with, and they're putting it into Idaho to build chips, to build semiconductors, to build out AI, to support the AI. And the government and the Department of Defense is trying to control all of it. I don't know how this plays out. I have no idea. Although what I do know is that it is wildly coincidental. How do you go? How do you go from... It's crazy that this is allowed. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a coincidence, but history tells us that most likely not.
I feel like things happening by coincidence these days are fewer and fewer.
Right.
I think most things in life are planned. I think especially at scale. I mean, we're talking about cobalt. And we know cobalt, I watched the episode. I remember it's my favorite Joe Rogan episode when they interviewed the guy. I forget the guy's name. They're talking about how dangerous the mining of cobalt is, how bad it is for the environment, how bad it is for the people, how like there's little children literally digging out with their hands, and how we use it in literally everything in life. I'm watching it on my iPhone while reading about or while watching about how bad cobalt is. And I felt kind of guilty watching it on my phone, knowing that the cobalt in there is what powering the phone. And now they want to do it in the United States. The very first mine that they're doing in the United States is in Idaho. They're also, I think, $5 billion they're giving to Micron in order to build out the new chips factory and the semiconductor factory in Idaho, in Boise, Idaho. I don't know how close they are together. Maybe that's something we can look up. But I think it's pretty crazy. I think it's pretty interesting that this is how it's coming together. And I think people are waking up to it. I think you should be aware of it. I just saw that in the state of Idaho, they've banned transitioning for children. I think they banned it for all people. Actually, maybe I'll look that up real quick. You can't transition your genders
Right. I think I
in the
saw
state of
same thing.
Idaho.
Yeah.
And so it's a very conservative place. It's a very based place. And they're going to change the demographics of that state. And I care because I was born in Idaho. I was just in Idaho. And they're going to change completely everything about that state. And why do they always pick the states that are trying to stay firm in their belief and they corrupt it? With this new Micron semiconductor facility that they're building, $5 billion. It'd be amazing if they hired people that are in Idaho. The reality is that they're just going to import a bunch of people there. That they're building this big mine, cobalt mine. And what are they going to do? They're going to import a bunch of people there in order to work the mine. They're not going to hire all these people in Idaho. They're going to bring in people from probably a lot of illegal immigrants, if you actually think about it. Who's going to work that mine? You import a bunch of illegal immigrants, you have them work the mine, and it's going to change the demographic of that state forever. And that sucks because, I mean, again, I was just there. It's like a lot of God-fearing, super conservative people that just want to live their lives in peace. And the government's going to show up with the government gun and change everything about that state. And that's really sad to think that that's going to happen. I mean, we've seen it happen in other states already. We've seen it happen all over the country. But to see kind of one of the last remaining states, Idaho, probably the Dakotas next, right? Nebraska is still a pretty conservative place. They'll probably get into Oklahoma. That's what they're doing. Spreading it out everywhere. And I don't know what the solution is. I feel like there's I want to say it's election, but the elections actually, I don't think much changes.
No,
And I think about that a lot.
I think money is the main motivator there. But I want to ask you, do you think there's much difference between that and, say, fracking? You know, like what it does to a community or to the environment or surrounding areas?
Yeah, it's probably really similar to fracking.
Right.
So they are anti-fracking, but they are pro-cobalt mining,
Right.
which is super coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
They only care about resources that they can control. They only care about resources that benefit them because this is funded by the Department of Defense. They're saying that it's necessary for Department of Defense. They're going in there and they're going to take over all the cobalt. The cobalt mine has been losing a lot of money because the price of cobalt has dropped significantly. And the government came in and they're funding it. And they're funding it using Ukraine money. They don't want you to frack because it's bad for the environment. It's bad for the people. It's bad for the community. That's what they say. But cobalt, you need it for your semiconductors. You need it to have your batteries. You need it to power your electric vehicles that you've so convinced that are going to change the world forever. You need it to power all of your AI chips that you're going to need. Otherwise, how do you build all these servers and all this infrastructure around control of people's minds? You need it. Therefore, it's okay. They only care about the things that personally benefit themselves. And in the process, their hands are in the cookie jar and they're all getting paid. And that's just the most corrupt thing of all of it. I wonder, if they didn't have the ability to make money by promoting all these programs, would they promote them? Like, do they want control so bad? And do they want to change the world for their benefit so much that if you took off the final incentive, would they still do these nefarious things? Or is money purely driving it? And if you actually removed money from the equation, that they wouldn't do these evil things? I wonder, like, what's the actual driving factor? Is it pure evil that wants to control the world? Or is pure evil created by this crazy desire for people to chase as much money as possible at whatever cost? Like chicken or the egg, right? What's the actual genesis of it? The desire for power and control, or that creates a situation and they make money from it? Or do they want money from it so bad that it creates a situation that they're taking power and control? What comes first? I don't know. I feel like maybe one day we figure that out. If we come up with a thesis on that, maybe how we perceive all of this going around, maybe it would change. Maybe you guys let me know. Leave a comment. What drives the nefarious acts of our society? The chase and need for power and control, or the chase and need for money? Once we figure that out, I think we'll figure the rest out too.